Well, hello there. Thank you, Miss MD Aftab. Walaikum assalam. I hope you are doing good. And then Carl Mathu said, hello, sir. Hello there. How are you doing? Okay, so let's get started. So this is our related talk about Flutter future and technology. So we'll be talking about that as we are doing live. All right, so over here, Vinoy has asked me that I think a real game is backend development logic understanding. AI will do front end job easily. Okay, Vinoy, it does look like so. No, if you do say this argument, it's same stands for backend. But in fact, well, most of the time, what we see on YouTube or a lot of courses are dummy apps. Of course, AI can do that. But when it comes to building large apps, AI or ChatGPT or any kind of software is far more than that yet because we have built apps. So it once again, AI it would be a helpful tool, but not going to replace you as a developer because building a large scale app is a complex thing. It requires a lot of human interaction, understanding, but definitely AI would help you to develop it faster. That's true. Well, Ahmed Mahdi said, I handle state management in this way with blocks. So what do you think? They're better structure for state, initial errors, loading success, linear failure, listener? No, well, these are the way to go ahead with BLoC, okay, or clean architecture approach. So this is the way to go. All right. So it's the right way. So and so for only better way. And gamer again question that can you tell me some common or main topic that interviewer asks at Flutter? Well, for me, when I take interview, actually, I want to see that what you have developed. Okay. All right. So like, show me your showcase or portfolio that what you have. Okay. So that's the first thing I start with. And then I might ask questions related to state management, like which one you use, BLoC, Riverpod, or GetX, and then questions related to them, that how do you manage a state, and what does emit do, what does an event do related to that. Or if I ask about provider or Riverpod, I might ask what is a provider and how do you listen to a provider, things like that. Okay. And what else? Main topic. Okay. Okay, gamer, I think I already told you a basic answer. Okay, and then if it's backend related stuff, then I might ask questions that how do you build a login API, and when you build a login API, how do you create a token, and where do you store it, and how do you retrieve it, and what kind of response do you return. Okay, in the beginning, now over here, Vinoy said, in the beginning, Flutter was so hard for me. Then I used real world analogy and it's a cakewalk, and scaffold like blank page, and the widgets are other tools. Yes, that's right. And that's how someone should be studying as well. So anything new could be difficult for anyone, but if you can compare the new thing with a real life example, that becomes easy to understand, and your understanding is correct. And what do you Ahmed Mahadi asked me other questions like thank you for response, what about API and Duo, are there any tips? I know. All right, now, okay, now API building, you should understand the common logic for building an API. Okay, that's common logic is same everywhere, right? Like for example, when you push data to backend, how do you push that? What format? Like JSON format, most common format, right? And how do you process the data? What do you do first? You validate the data first, right? You need to talk about that one. And after that, you process your data, you do query, and then you save it. So these are the steps that you should know. Okay, now I think DIO, if you're referring to the package, then I believe there are also HTTP package. Okay, so I would rather suggest to go ahead with HTTP because it fits very well with clean architecture. And then over here, Mathutu asked me another question. So I want to start with backend. Do you recommend MongoDB, MySQL, PHP? Now you see there are different technical subject. MongoDB is mostly used for storing data, retrieving data, which is more like MySQL, and PHP is a script. So if you're talking about a certain technical stack, so once again, it depends on where you are and what you want. Okay, so if you are a freelancer, then PHP, MySQL is the way to go, I would say that. But if you're looking for a job in large corporations, go ahead with Node.js or Python like that, like if you want to look for a job in the USA or Europe like that. But if you are based in Asia, then MySQL, PHP are the way to go. And if you are doing both freelancing and a job, then PHP, MySQL is always very helpful. And that's what I do actually. Like for me, with my team, we use GoLang for complex apps where the client has specific requirement. They told us that you should use GoLang. Okay, we do that. But when the client doesn't have any requirement, we go ahead with Laravel because it's easy to build, very fast. So once again, this is based on what you're looking for. You're looking for quick development. I would say I know Laravel very well, so I go ahead with Laravel. Okay. All right. Then over here, let's see. Okay, is there any new questions? These questions, I think, how do I get a job? Do you provide reference to make your Telegram channel? So Vinay asking me about getting a job as a Flutter developer. Okay, so what I learned from real experience with me, because I've been in this industry for a long time, right? So I do a lot of freelancing. So I have people, they already know me. I am active in social media. So I get a job like that. So I've never looked for a job the way that you are looking for or asking me, like going to a website or certain famous websites for looking for a job. I haven't, okay? Because I've been always either freelancing or I was being my own boss, right? So that's a different thing for me. But because I do see that people are turning into Flutter, so there should be more jobs available, okay? Because I mean, even some of my old clients, they're building their apps using Flutter right now. They're asking us to build using Flutter. So to get a freelancing job, Binoy, you should be socially active, okay? Social media, Facebook, your Twitter, you have to tell people that you are building apps. So slowly you will get a reference, okay? After ask me another question, you are using GetX package for responsive, but it doesn't make my app responsive. No, GetX doesn't make your app responsive. GetX is not responsible for making your app responsive. There are other packages that do that. GetX is responsible for what is that? State management, right? Material app, GetMaterial app doesn't do that either. So they're different things, okay? So we are using, like, for example, riding a bicycle. Of course, it won't fly. Flying is another thing, and another part should do that, right? So GetX doesn't do responsive thing. You could do it manually by typing, I mean, every line of code, or other packages that are available to do that. Okay. Should we Season asked me another question. Should we prioritize our API rather than directly connected to DB? Now you see, database is used for storing data, right? So database has its own language, which is MySQL. A lot of people might use MongoDB, but API sits in a framework, right? What API does, it takes data from your front end and submit the data in the back end. So they are different things. So I don't think you should be confusing them. Okay, so once you have data, you store the data in the database. That's all. If your app doesn't need storing data, you don't need API. So that's how you would understand. So definitely when you store data, it would go through API. So of course your API has to be correct and well optimized, right? Of course, if your API is buggy, it still works sometimes. So, well, Manish Gautam said that you need more projects like BLoC, Clean. Please do not include GetX or Reverb or create a video. Hi Manish, thanks that I understand you love BLoC and Clean Architecture than any other else. But the purpose of my channel is to educate on everything, not just BLoC. Yes, I do love BLoC as well, but because I'm trying to help Flutter and the community, because you may like BLoC, but other people might not. Okay, so this is a difficult request to maintain. And Mathutu said, thank you, you're welcome. And Vinoy said, I think Flutter will replace React for apps development. What do you think? I think I already answered this question. Yes, it looks like the trend. Okay. And Vinoy asked me where I'm from. Are you from Pakistan or India? Well, not exactly. I'm from Bangladesh, but I currently live in Shanghai. I've been here for the last 19 years. Okay. Cannot find new job in Flutter. Do we need to continue to study in Flutter, or we should work with other programming languages? Okay, the situation could be different. Okay, and now since Flutter is still new, most jobs are still not in Flutter, so you need to be patient. Keep doing freelancing. That could help you. And if you know backend, you can also get a backend job and build your own thing using Flutter. So learning more tools always help you. Okay, I cannot guarantee that. Okay, but at least my experience with Flutter is different because I get tons of work in Flutter. And okay, Hafiz says, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. I'm doing good. Thank you, brother. And I'm good in USI. I know Firebase, REST API service. I also integrate them in my app, but mostly I struggle with the logical things. That's why I took more time. What's your suggestion? Okay, the logical stuff could be a little bit scary and time consuming, because it has to directly deal with who you are, your background, and how you're able to solve a problem. So solving problem or logical thinking is actually solving problem, right? So if it's difficult, then I would say do more practice. Okay, so get a project and think about it, that how you're going to logically connect everything. Think about it, draw every steps, how they're connected. That would help you. Okay, some people might not be so natural at that. For me, I was not natural, but it helped me after doing a lot of practice. So the way I would suggest for Murtuza that, okay, so try to do a logical connection, try to draw them, make a sketch before you dive into coding. Okay, get a piece of paper and try to draw every block of your application in a piece of paper, how they are connected, how the data transmission would work. Okay, that would help you. Do you think Flutter dev should learn native as well? So hi Zildan, thanks for asking the question. Okay, if you're already learning native, that's good. And then if you want to learn Flutter, that's also good. But if you already know Flutter and going to native, I might not suggest that thing. Okay, because learning native could be more scary and difficult. And one thing, when you learn one thing well, you really master it. Actually, you master the world. Trust me. Learn one thing, learn it very well, and you'll see that you have demand. People would want to get you. People would want to give you a job. Okay, if you keep switching between too many things, you end up learning nothing like a master. Mastering one thing is so important. I tell you, I mean, that's from my experience. Okay, whatever you know, if you can master that, trust me, job's there for you. Okay, because once you master something, you can prove that you mastered it, right? Then jobs become available to you. All right. And then over here, a little question. I heard that Clean Architecture is really using it, so I wanted to learn it, but so which tutorial should I try? Okay, hey, a little, thanks for the question. Yes, even me personally, I was into Clean Architecture last year. I'm telling the truth. Okay, until before that, I had basically used MVC pattern. Okay, MVC. So since I learned Clean Architecture and I loved it, but it was difficult to get my head around it, that how everything works. But once you know how everything works, it's so beautiful that a Clean Architecture, it works with other programming languages, other thing, because the Clean Architecture is not a Flutter thing, it's a programming concept. Once you know this thing, and you'll see that the same piece of code, say for example, you used Clean Architecture to build a Flutter app. Now you have a new project, Flutter project that you are going to build, you can literally copy a lot of the code from your old project, okay, and just copy paste there. A lot of time, all you need to change is the presentation layer. Your domain layer and data layer, they still stay the same. And that's what I'm doing right now. Because literally right now, I'm working on my third clean architecture project, and I found it just copying and pasting my old code to new projects. So that's why if you can learn clean architecture, go ahead with that. I mean, that's one of the best investment in technology you could do, because once you know clean architecture, you see that a lot of other framework like Java, they use clean architecture. I mean, they suggest to you the C# framework, they also go ahead with the clean architecture. So learn that. Next one. Okay, so well, a lot of questions, and then Hafiz asked me if BLoC is very difficult for me. When I try BLoC, I just gave it up. Okay, so actually BLoC is not difficult. BLoC is not difficult, trust me. I'm not sure that you have better understanding whether or not. It's super easy. So you have to understand, event is for transferring data, right? You have a shared memory, you transfer data, you put it in shared memory through event. Now, once your data is there, the UI has to know. How does the UI know? Using state, where you use emit to let the UI know that you have new state. But if you still find it difficult, we might just do a session, live session on BLoC and how to understand it. We can do it later. But yeah, so far you can go ahead with provider and GetX, it would help you. I also could not master the backend. Now backend is a huge thing as well, okay? So for backend, you cannot master anything. What should you do? You should master logic, not really anything else. Please master logic rather than mastering a language or memorizing stuff. That's not going to work. Can we use Flutter for website? Is that useful? What's your opinion? Yes, we can. Actually, I do have a website in Flutter. But I didn't release it. It works. So I'm trying to build a tutorial about Flutter and website. So it's not an issue anymore. Send object data using form, get object. Yeah, okay. Vinoy, yes, I think something like that. Backend logic is simple actually. Backend logic is kind of simple. Sometimes I would say that. So Murtuza is asking me, I know Firebase, is it necessary to learn? I'm thinking about, no, look, what Murtuza, it's a very good question, okay? So what Firebase does is it helps you with the two features I like very much, which is notification as well as Google Map or any kind of map like that. So a lot of big apps, complex apps, they still need these two features, and a lot of them they go with Firebase and Google Map. So you should learn Firebase, at least two of these things, Google Map and notification. And yes, you can do Node.js at the same time, because recently we have released a tutorial. We are doing another multi-vendor app, and then we have used Node.js for REST API. And we are using Firebase for notification as well as Google Map. All right. So, Murtuza, you asked me questions. So I noticed that has been changed. Interface of Flutter, and we have Flutter. We have different Flutter dev tools per platform we choose. Flutter dev website has been changed, so I don't know what you're exactly talking. Whatever is changing, it shouldn't affect the way we develop things. So I'm going to skip that, Gautam, and then I'm going to go to Ratut. So how to master BLoC, sir? Well, try to build your counter app first. Try to understand how that works. Exactly the same thing, the same idea works in other things, okay? First, you need to know how to increase 1, 2, 3 and update the state, and the same logic, the same thing works when you have a custom object or model. So what I would say that mastering the counter app in Flutter, BLoC, would help you to build complex app, okay? if you really understand how counter app works using BLoC state management, it would same work with when you have a custom object. Say for example, you have a user model and you want to update it. It's the same way, it works the same. Well, then over here, I think I already replied this kind of Firebase, MongoDB, which is the best. Okay, look, Firebase offers a lot of API for building your app, right? Both for React Native, for web app, for Flutter. And MongoDB is just data storage, okay? MongoDB is just data storage. Firebase helps you to store data. Firebase also helps you to give you a lot of APIs. So definitely, overall, Firebase is the best. And then AI fired our job finding opportunity. Hey Eunice, I wouldn't really say that. What I would say that, because AI is already there, so you need to master your own tool. That you need to be extremely good. Trust me. I tried to work with ChatGPT and ask it to write code. It does, but 60% of the time the code is wrong. I still have to look through it. Okay, that's how it works, and I have to edit the code to make it work. So you need to be a master right now, what you learn, and so that company hire you. You can use AI to help you work faster, but it's not going to replace you. AI is not there yet. I'm sorry, I don't agree, because you still need to tell AI what to do, what not to do. Even if it gives you a piece of code, that's wrong a lot of time, because I have used it. Flutter future for next 5 years, I feel like it's very bright, and there should be a lot more jobs. Eventually it's going to replace a lot of other technologies. And over here, you're right, it's must. I'm learning Angular, I want to learn both, but my question was, should I, since I'm not familiar with which of your tutorials. So, well, I do have a tutorial. If it helps you, let me get you the link. I think it might help you. Let me search the link and send it here if it helps. I think if you're looking, since you're looking for a BLoC based solution, so this is for AA. I think this is for you. I think you're looking for one of the tutorials. Okay. Yes, clean architecture does apply solid principles. I mean, you cannot take away solid principles and do clean architecture, okay? So actual clean architecture does implement solid principles. Clean architecture is just a name, but how it internally works, it implements solid principles, okay? So it is there, okay? But when you think of solid principles, it may sound difficult. So it's all about how to separate domain layer, data layer, presentation layer, and how the classes are built. That's all, okay? Even if you don't know what is called solid, if you just know how to separate data layer, domain layer, presentation layer, it would help you. And status videos, do you think, what do you think Flutter developer job is gonna increase the time? High status video, definitely that's gonna increase, because I personally right now, I develop, I have team members, they're all Flutter developers, and we also provide solution to our clients. So I'm hiring and I'm gonna hire more. So I think it's the same for other people. And Vinoy said you're from Bangladesh, that's on Indian border, so you're doing in 19 years. Yes, I'm from Bangladesh, that's in Indian border. So I've been in Shanghai for the last 19 years. I've studied here, I've worked here. Right now I'm in my company, actually it's my own company, as you can see from the background. So I have other business that I do. Coding is a fun thing for me, that's why I do that. And Hafiz said that any tutorials about responsive UI media query, but the problem is that font size. So your question is any tutorial about responsive UI. Okay, so Hafiz, the way I do, and I have a dummy project on responsive UI. So it's the font size, I think you have to take care on your own using media query. The packages, I'm not sure they do it very well. So it's still handling on your own, the font size. So all you need to do using media query, you need to check the size of your UI, the screen, and based on that, you show or use a new different kind of font. I mean, smaller font or bigger font, right? So you just do a conditional check that the size of UI, the larger the UI, do the conditional check, the larger the font. If the conditional check is small, show smaller, smaller font. All right, so there are a lot more questions. I think, well, Murtuza said, I think I will not replace us to but first winner, but they are not 60% accurate. We must develop understanding. Yes, right, Murtuza. So because we are living in a fierce competitive age, so what do we have to do? We have to be very good at what we do. Okay, so competition would be there. AI is not going to replace you, trust me. But our near future is always building about scalable app, big apps. Okay, small apps, I don't think people would build small apps. Okay, there is no room for that. So any kind of app would be complex, and this is where the human still requires. So don't be afraid of AI. Use AI to leverage your work. So I need to go through this tutorial first to learn BLoC. Thank you. Yes. Normal. I think Flutter is mature enough for going with web. I have built an app, as I said again. My personal experience was good. I don't know about other people. But now once you build web app using Flutter, as a developer, you need to know a lot more things. That's true, actually. It's not like using web app like using HTML, CSS. It doesn't work like that, right? So everything is Flutter. So you have to know Flutter very well if you want to build web app. That's what I would say. That it's not the Flutter itself that how much you know, because you know that when you use CSS, HTML, or other framework, even if your app is buggy, it still runs. But Flutter doesn't work like that. So it's more strict. So you have to know your Flutter very well before you build web app. I think Flutter is ready for building web app. But question is how much you know. You have to know your stuff. All right, and then over here, can you create a video on Flutter BLoC, Stream API call model? And yes, we are working on, so Anish, Niraj, we are working on things like that, Flutter BLoC streaming API. So hopefully we'll release them soon. Okay, next one. Binoy said, can I get a job in your company? No, we are currently working with 2 people and that's enough. But I'll keep in mind, because right now currently we are mostly focused on tutorial based work that we do. So there is a requirement to get a job in my company, like your English has to be good, your editing skill has to be good, and as well as your Flutter coding skill has to be good. So it's difficult because I have very high standard, as you see, English, video editing skill, as well as you have to be good at Flutter itself. Which is the best state management solution for large applications? So S33, that's a very good question. Now let me tell you, because I have worked with both GetX. So I have worked with both GetX, RiverPod, and BLoC. When your app is complex, when your app UI is complex, they all do behave weirdly. Okay, so there is nothing called best and worst. Trust me. When your app UI is complex, when you have a lot of things going on in your UI, you need to think a lot and you need to work hard to manage the state. Can you provide some of your paid course for free? Manish Gautam. No, we don't really do that. Why? Because we work hard to build apps and courses, okay? So what do? Actually, we work in a team. And when I do that, actually, what I do, I need to pay to my engineers, right? So that's why I don't make them complete free. But what I do make them half free. But actually, last month, I gave away 1,100 free coupons on Twitter. So most of you guys don't follow me on Twitter. On Twitter, I often give free coupon to my Udemy courses. So when you get the course for free, that means you also get the source code for free. So I suggest to follow me on Twitter as well. Natish Kumar asked me, why don't I use Spring Boot? Look, Natish Kumar, Spring Boot is a great solution, but I'm not familiar with that. So that's why I don't use. It's not that it's not good. Definitely it's good, but I'm not a Spring Boot guy. I'm more into GoLang and Laravel guy. So Spring Boot was not my thing. But I love Java. I think it's a great language, or the framework it provides. But I don't know Spring Boot. So that's why I don't do that. Kalim Alam, Flutter dead 2025. No, it's not dead, and it's just beginning. Flutter is rising. I'm not sure why you'd say that. So host your database usually. Well, I do use paid services like Cloudflare. This is where my database. I also use HostGator. This is where I keep my database. I also use Chinese server Alibaba, and you can also choose Firebase. So it's up to you. Why my message you don't reply? So from what? I don't know what message you are sending me and I didn't reply. So I'm sorry about that. So you can put your questions here right away. And Nat asked me a question. Nat Pezzati, lot from your video. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nat, and please spread the word. Shadik, hello brother. After the tutorial, should I start with TD? Yes, if you, okay, AA, this is for you. If you master BLoC, if you know a little more BLoC and Flutter, yes, TDD and Clean Architecture. All right, and then where here Lucas asked me, do I have full course? Yes, I do have a full course Flutter Firebase. Yes, I do have Lucas, I think. Yes, I do have full course. Chat app using WebSockets and BLoC. We don't have currently. Most probably we'll make one. So Kunal asked me that whether we use WebSockets and BLoC together. We don't have now. But we may build in future. Now Nitish Kumar saying they're all asking about Flutter future because Indian brother YouTube predicted that Flutter would be dead in. So it's still not dead, right? So he's wrong. So Flutter is not dead, and I don't think it's going to be dead in next 10 years. It's just a beginning. I don't know where they get this idea. A good combination, brother. Hi, Sadiq, brother. I haven't used Jetpack, so I cannot talk much about it. And what else? Okay, Flutter BLoC 5 is good language, or okay, look, Flutter. Okay, look, Flutter and BLoC. Flutter is a framework, BLoC is within Flutter, so it's same thing. So because BLoC belongs to Flutter, and now Firebase is for data management or data storage or API. It's good for getting you interview. I think so. But at the same time, I would say that if you master Firebase, try to master the backend logic. Okay, so okay, I would really say go ahead with, if you want to land a job, Flutter plus backend framework. Trust me, just learning Firebase alone might not get you a job. But if you know Flutter and a backend framework, it could be Spring Boot, it could be Laravel, it could be Django. It would help you to get a job, okay? But just staying with Firebase might not work all the time. And I'm just starting out. Do you have any advice for me? Okay, so Edu channel, if you're just starting out, master Flutter UI building, then master Firebase, and then pick backend. That's the roadmap. Is Flutter for UI, Django for backend, scalable market? So Ayman Labidi, I think Ayman Labidi. Yes, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. Go ahead with that. And then Nitish Kumar asked me, please make something complex video player dynamic data app like. Okay, Nitish Kumar, I may keep in mind, but I can't guarantee that when we'll do and release it. why don't they use Flutter in European market? So Ahmed Almaud, I cannot speak for that, but currently I'm working from a client from Belgium. So we are building his app using Flutter. Last year we built a large scale app for one of our American client. And last year at the same time we built a food delivery app for another American client. So yes, we are building app for American or European client rather than Asian client. So you told me that over here, European market, they don't have Flutter developers. I'm not sure about that, but my experience has been different. Okay, Namil Vuba has asked me a question that how can you start Flutter freelancing? Okay, so Nirmal Vuba, right? It's a very good question, but I have already answered to this question. So to get a Flutter freelancing, the way it was with me, I was active in social media, okay? My Facebook, my WeChat, my Twitter, my personal relationship with people helped me a lot to get Flutter jobs. So the one trick may work with you, which I can share with you. Build something using Flutter and post about it on social media and talk about it on social media that you do things in Flutter. Talk about on social media that you are an engineer, you build solutions for people. So slowly people will come to you. I mean, that was with me, okay? Hey, AO, you are from Belgium. Who it is? Even if I tell you who it is, I don't think you would know that person. Okay, what are your thoughts on dark backend like Serverpod and Dark Frog? So Nitish Kumar asked me about Serverpod and Dark Frog. I don't think they're still suitable for large scale app and backend, so I'm skipping them. I don't use them. I tried to use Dark Frog, but because you see, right now on my channel, even when I publish some tutorials, they're complex app. I don't think Serverpod or Dark Frog are yet ready there. Because for me, I want fast development. So I don't have time for testing and waiting and see the result. So I go ahead with Node.js. So I would ask you to go ahead with Node.js or Laravel or Django. All right, and other questions. Do you charge your clients for support? So Ahmed asked me, yes, I do charge my clients for support because everybody's time has value, right? I'm an engineer, I sell my time, I provide solution, definitely I charge. How do I learn Flutter architecture, Firebase, and state management? Okay, over here, Mohammed asked me that how do I learn Flutter architecture, Firebase? Follow tutorials on our channel. We have tons of tutorials. This is a good one. So Mohammed asked me, this tutorial is a good one. Go ahead with that. And Kunal Singh asked me, how many apps have you made in Flutter? I would say in last 2 years, I think we have worked around 10 projects. Yes, Flutter. Using Flutter, we have worked with the 10 projects. But like dummy apps, we build all the time. So I'm not counting them. Actual usable apps, I think we have built around 10 apps. All right. Okay. What is the next question? Edu channel. I got interested in working with Flutter through Flutter Flow. Haha. Is it going to be helpful since I'm starting? So Edu, this is a very good question. If you start with Flutter Flow, this is the time you stay away. This is the time that you learn real programming. Flutter Flow is not real programming. So I'm not sure how can you compare. So Flutter Flow should be more like drag and drop. So that's not programming. So start writing code. That would help you. And over here, Marvel has asked me a question. Well, this is my channel actually. This is my channel. You're asking me what is my channel? This is my channel. Okay, so Ahmed asked me another question. Allah bless me, brother. Yes, I'm blessed. Learn Flutter, do some projects with GetX, and do you think Spring Boot good to start with? Spring Boot is a good thing as a backend solution, and hopefully would give you job faster than any other people, most probably, because Java has a huge market. If you want to start with that, go ahead with Spring Boot. It would help you. BLoC provider, GetX. I do have a lot of tutorials on my channel. Got GetX, BLoC, and provider. So don't worry, pick any of them. I just don't have Spring Boot tutorial. And all right, Nitish Kumar, server pod. No, look, Nitish Kumar, you said it took you 1 hour to set up. Well, I wouldn't say it's a long time or less time, but in terms of building solutions and stable app, I don't know that whether it's going to be stable yet. Okay, so if your app is small app, server pod might still hold it, but if you large scale app, I don't think it's a solution. Okay, so Shaikh asked me if GoLang is best for backend. Well, this is one of the best for backend. GoLang is one of the best for backend, but you have to know that if you do learn GoLang and use GoLang, your job finding scope is small, but at the same time, it is also true that GoLang is used for big companies, very big companies. So most probably you will end up getting a job in big companies. But at the same time, there aren't many chances to get a job in big companies because there aren't many big companies. So there's a other side of it. All right. So, well, A asked me, what is TDD? TDD is test-driven development, where you test each feature of your app first, and then you go ahead and build it. So that's the basic thing. So first test and then build so that you have less error. How much time is needed to perfect in Flutter? So Kunal Singh asked me, how much time do I need? I would say if you're serious about it, 3 months front end UI and the 3 months backend logic, 6 months. If you work hard, you're good to go. You'd be able to build complex app. Mohammed, your channel is perfect. Okay, thank you, Mohammed. And Marvelous Abraham, thank you so much. You're most welcome. And can you share your experience and challenges at the starting point and how you grow your business and if you're comfortable? So, well, Coder asked me this question, that sharing my experience, and I've been doing it all the time. But once again, I've been coding for 12 years. Now, at the beginning, coding was very difficult. It was very difficult. But as I coded more and I learned more, and switching between languages was easy. So the thing that I would say, Coder, learn the logic first, how things work. Learn the logic rather than memorizing stuff, okay? Now, I've done it for a long time and I love coding. I would say that. Node.js is Flutter is a good combination. Abhishek asked me, yes, it's a good combination. Do you use, what is PKEC in Flutter Web? I don't know what is that, PKEC. So I'm gonna skip this. So Manish Kumar asked me, so full stack mobile developer, if you want to get a fast pace for building apps and a solution, Flutter, GetX, and Laravel. But if you want to get a job in company, Flutter, BLoC, Node.js, or Django. I give the answer. Well, Edu Channel asked me talk about Flutter roadmap. I think I'm doing the same thing today over here. I'm answering all the questions. What is the best option for backend, which is used on your own project? Hi, Komar. I've already answered this question. If you're late over here, you most probably don't know. I mean, I started with Laravel and Flutter together. Now I'm also doing Laravel or Node.js. So Laravel and Flutter good for freelancing and working in small companies. Laravel and Node.js good for working in big companies. And Flutter and Laravel gets you quick money. Flutter and Node.js may give you money slowly because what it is, it takes time to develop solutions in Node.js. And then over here, Alok asked me, I know GetX, I have 1 year experience and I live in India. Can I job in America and how? So Alok, if you want to get a job in the USA, Flutter alone is not going to get you a job. BLoC, you should master GoLang. Trust me, if you master GoLang, you might have a good job offer from the USA. You have to master GoLang. That's from my experience, I could say, even though I'm not in the USA. But GoLang is something that you good to have on your CV. GoLang is something that shines, and it's also difficult to learn. Is it a good practice to host an app database in SQL Server using PHP and PHP considered as an API? Well, it's not, I would say, good and bad practice. I would say it's a safe or unsafe. Now look, a lot of time MySQL, we may use a different server, which is safe actually. If you use MySQL as a different server rather than your API server, PHP could be just an API server, and then MySQL could be a different server for storing data. If you separate them, it's safe. Okay, if one crashes, it wouldn't affect others. Okay, and hacking is also difficult, but the setting up is difficult. When your servers are in different places, different servers, different memory, different hard drive, it's difficult to set up, but it's a good thing. Pandi asked me, what is the best state management? I already talked about it. If you know GetX, go ahead with GetX. If you know BLoC, go ahead with BLoC. If you know Riverpod, go ahead with Riverpod. But if you want me to start with something, if you're new to Flutter, go ahead with GetX. It's easy to learn. All right, okay. All right, so here I'm going to finish my live stream because I gotta go, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon because I have other meetings to do, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll keep it as a video so that you can watch later. Thank you.